Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about two books from two amazing authors. Each of these books contains 5 novellas each. So you get a total of 10 novellas between these two books, and that is enough for all of your nightmares. Trust me on that. Both of these books have just been released and you do not want to miss out on them. But first I want to remind you that I have books for sale, and if you want to read any of the books you see on your screen, there is a link in the description. And if you want to buy me a coffee through Ko-Fi.com, that link is in the description. Alright, let's get started. So the first book of 5 novellas I want to talk about today is called Spin a Black Yarn by Josh Malerman. Now I want to say that both of these authors, for me, I've reviewed their books, their full-length novels, previously on my channel. You can find those in my videos. But both of these authors are those that have never let me down. So whenever there's something new from them, these are, like, for me, must-read books. As soon as they announce their next project, I'm waiting in anticipation for those books. And this one is no exception. I'm going to take one novella from each of these books and talk about that, because there are going to be plenty of surprises between these two books. There's going to be plenty of stuff to scare you. I'm going to talk about one from each that really affected me, that really did it for me horror-wise, you know. And that doesn't mean that the rest of them are bad or not worthy, but these are the ones that resonated with me the most out of each of these books. And the story the novella I want to talk about from Spin a Black Yarn is, I believe it's the first one. It's called Half the House is Haunted. And this is a really great little twist on a haunted house story. You got a sister and a younger brother, and they live in this house. It's almost like a big mansion type house. It's really big. And the sister convinces the little brother that at any given time, half the house is haunted. And she tells him that it could be any half at any time. Like, for instance, it could be haunted horizontally. So the upper half is haunted and the lower half is not, or vice versa. It could be haunted vertically. Half the house over here is haunted, half the house over here is not, but you never know which side at any given time. Or perhaps even different small sections of the house, up and down, left and right, are haunted, equaling half of the house space. So she's convincing him that at all times half of the house is haunted. And some creepy, strange things start happening to this boy, convincing him, scaring him, frightening him, making him believe that yes, his sister must have it right. But the thing about this book is that maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe the house, or half the house, isn't haunted ever at all, and maybe his sister, maybe she's just a budding young sociopath who just loves tormenting and torturing her brother to the point where he thinks about this going up into his adulthood. That's how much she frightened him when he was a child. But we're going to find out exactly what's going on. And the thing is about this story is that even if it's true and half of the house is haunted, that's frightening enough. But if it's not, the reason why it's not is going to be frightening and as well. And so you don't know, but I love that whole take on a haunted house, that half of it could be haunted, the other half isn't, but you never know which one is at which time. So, oh man. And this kid goes through hell. Like I said, he thinks about it into adulthood because his sister just torments him with this when they were kids living there. And it's an excellent, excellent book. There's another story about a guy who's having a deathbed confession, and he confesses to some murders he didn't actually commit, but then he starts talking about some things he actually did do, and those things are even more horrifying than the murders that he probably didn't commit. And there's just all kinds of novellas in here, and there's a couple. There's one that's like a science fiction horror that I really loved, about a futuristic cleaning machine. But that one, yeah, you're going to have to read about that one to find out. I don't want to give too much away because it is a new release, of course. But I highly, highly recommend Spin a Black Yarn. It's a fantastic book of novellas, I should say. And you get a lot of bang for your buck, man. Both of these books, the total page length for all the novellas is the size of a full-length novel. So you're not being cheated out of anything here. It's an excellent value for the money, and these stories are sure to invade your nightmares. So I'll leave a link down below to Amazon where you can pick up your copy. And then we have They Lurk by Ronald Malfi. Again, 5 novellas, one that equals one full-length novel-type book. But these 4 of the stories in here are reprints from different publications, but I've never read any of them before. So to me, it was fresh. They were all brand new. I got to see them with fresh eyes. I didn't know they existed before. And the first one starts things off right off the bat with a terrifying kind of small town monster story. You'll have to read about that. But the one I really want to talk about is the 5th one. And the 5th one is a new one that has not been previously published before from him. And this one is called Fierce. And in my opinion, that one's worth the price of admission alone. It's got so many great horror movie slasher type tropes in it. It's got everything I love in a horror story. And I think you'll agree. It's about a teenage girl. She has a dysfunctional family. One day her and her mom are driving along in a car on a deserted road with woods all around. They get in an accident with a truck, and nobody dies and nobody's seriously injured, but the mother gets out to talk to the truck driver, exchange information. And when the girl is standing by the car, lost in her thoughts, when she turns around, her mother's on the ground, and this person that was driving the truck is standing over her mother with an axe in their hand. And so the girl freaks out, of course, starts running through the woods, because that's what one does. And she knows that this person, whoever they are and whatever they want and whatever's going on, is right hot on their trail. So that part is very suspenseful and filled with dread and terror. And then she sees an old farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, thinking, this is going to be my sanctuary, my rescue. Come on, we've seen enough horror movies to know that if you're running through the woods from a crazed axe murderer and you find an abandoned building in the middle of the woods, it's not going to help you. We all know that. And sure enough, as soon as she steps inside this farmhouse, that's where the true terrors begin. Because if you thought everything else was terrifying up to that point, wait until she gets in this farmhouse. Ronald Malfi throws some twists and turns in there, and it becomes kind of this very grotesque and frightening cosmic horror kind of situation she finds herself in as she digs deeper into the bowels of this farmhouse, and with a killer right on her heels. Yeah, this novella had everything I want in a horror story. It kept my attention. It had a lot of great scenes that just reminded me of horror movies, slasher movies, cosmic horror. It's got all that combined in one. And the rest of the novellas in here, especially if you haven't read them before, because these are from earlier in his career, are definitely worth the price, because it's just fantastic. It'll scare you, it'll frighten you, give you nightmares. And between these 2 books of novellas, there are so many stories and so many ways for them to invade your mind. And they will. There are stories in each of these that you will not forget once you read them. I promise you. And then, just like the other one, you can pick up your copy of They Lurk by clicking on the link in the description. It'll take you right to Amazon. All right, so there you have 2 books, 2 authors, 10 novellas, endless nightmares. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.